Welcome to the latest episode of the Pulse of East Providence with Mayor Bob DaSilva. You know, our administration prides itself in making sure that we communicate with the public using all means of communication. PEG-RI and Public Access TV is just one of those methods. And we thank you for joining in and listening week after week as we bring in some of the people in the community who are really impacting East Providence and making us a better community. The other means of communication we use, and we always like to plug this, is our website, eastprovinceri.gov. If you need to request a service or look about, to find out when meetings are or other services that are available, go to eastprovinceri.gov. If you scroll to the bottom, we have a link that goes to our newsletter. The newsletter is sent out to your mail, your email address. We send out over 12,000 newsletters every 2 weeks, chock full of information about programs and events that are happening in the city. If you know of an event or you have some special occasion that you wanted to share with us, please reach out to Mayor's office at eastprovinceri.gov and we'll try to include that in our newsletter. Additionally, you know, I like to utilize social media to get the message out to the community. We use our Facebook, Instagram, X accounts. So take a look at those. If you're not already following the City of East Providence pages, please do. It's a great way to communicate. Today, I have a special guest, a young legislator who is making an impact at the General Assembly. Started out with the school committee, serving our community for 4 years, and then rising up to be the chair of the school committee, and now is at the State House. And we are fortunate today to be able to sit down and speak with State Representative Jenni Furtado. Jenni Furtado, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for having me today.
I know you're a busy person. You're an attorney by trade, right? I always like to start off the interview, and this is just a conversation, by asking the person across from me to share with the community and the people watching a story about you. Who is Jenni Furtado? How did Jenni Furtado, where did she grow up? Where did she go to school? How did she get into doing the work that she does now? Tell us about you.
Thank you. So I'm originally from the town of Mamaroneck in New York State. It's right outside of the New York City area. Mm-hmm. So I'm fortunate to have had two parents that truly loved and prioritized our education. They specifically picked that town to give us the best opportunities possible. So they both immigrated from Peru in the 1980s and 1990s and picked that town as their home. They raised two of us, so it's me and my younger brother. He's younger by 7 years, and we grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with 1 bathroom in a little apartment in Mamaroneck. Mm-hmm. So I really got to see what hardworking parents are striving to achieve when they're raising a young family, and they've really instilled in me the hard work and dedication and just the love for family. That's something that I've continued to value and admire from them because they continue to work to today. So that's, I guess, kind of an insight as to how I grew up a little bit differently from where I am today.
Well, you know, it's fascinating. I mean, my family immigrated to this country too, and I think that the story of immigration is such a special story, because these are people who are leaving everything they know. You know, your parents grew up in Peru, they had family, friends, connections, everything they knew, their language. When they came over, did they speak English?
No.
They didn't speak English. No. Same thing when my parents came over, they didn't speak English, they spoke Portuguese. And they're taking that risk because of one reason, really. They want to offer their children a better life. They want their children to have better opportunities than they probably would have had back home, right? Now, Peru is a wonderful country, a wonderful place to visit. But at the time, your parents decided they wanted to come here to give you a better opportunity, and you took that opportunity. You went to school. First of all, you went to school in Merrimack?
Yes. So I went to public schools all from pre-K through 12.
Okay.
I was then fortunate to be able to go to St. John's University in Queens.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see what the big city was like and take the opportunities from that as well. And I really got to meet people from all walks of life.
Okay.
So it was also really great to kind of expand my knowledge on what other people's life experience are, whether it's education, whether it's the type of communities they grew up with, different religions, different cultural experiences just in general, and different economic backgrounds as well. So I think that was really truly, I think, what opened my eyes a little bit more to outside of what I had grown up with in a much smaller town compared to a big city. So I think that was part of I think the seed as well to really push me into then pursuing law at Roger Williams School of Law here in Rhode Island. But I did have an interest in pursuing law since I was in 5th grade in elementary school.
Really? Tell us about that.
It was really great. We did a curriculum on law in general. So our teacher had split up our class between prosecution, defense, and then a panel of 9 judges to decide a case. I was fortunate to be selected to be a judge amongst other 8 students as well, so a total of 9. So we got to prepare for over a month on reading the cases and learning how to decipher facts and arguments and everything. And then at the end, we got to go to a courthouse in Manhattan to hear the arguments, and we got to wear robes. So that really left an impressional memory on what the law means and what it can do to help people and protect people, and the needs on making sure that people's rights are also protected as well when trying to seek justice as well. So
what's fascinating.
Amazing.
That's an amazing story, and that's why. Okay, one of the reasons why I really enjoy reading to children at school when you have reading week or interacting with young people at the elementary school level. You never know when you're going to spark an interest in somebody that could change the path of their lives, right? So in 5th grade, you went through this exercise, you something imprinted or ingrained in you that you decided, hey, one day I want to be an attorney, and you went out and did that, Yes. Now, before your time, way before your time, when I was a young kid, I was in elementary school, and we used to have this program back then, used to be called the Officer Friendly program. I don't think anybody, maybe some of the listeners at home remember this. Officer Friendly was kind of like the precursor to the SROs today, right? So Officer Friendly came into the classroom, and he'd come and talk to the youth, to the children. And I remember being in class, and Officer Friendly was sitting there. It was a Providence police officer in uniform, and he's giving out the stickers, and he's giving out the coloring books, and he's talking about being a police officer. And later in life, that's what I ended up wanting to do. I was so impressed by Officer Friendly. I said, I want to be like Officer Friendly someday. And I wonder if that had, an impact or left an imprint in me that decided, that led me to becoming a police officer in my career. But it's so important. And being on a school committee, so you went to school to become a lawyer, right? You ended up choosing East Providence to live in. Yes. Why was that? Tell us the story behind that.
I was in the first year of law school, and I had met my now husband, on a dating app. And he's an lifelong East Providence resident. The only time he's ever left East Providence was for school.
Okay, all right, yes.
But he still came back, and just really getting to know him and his family, and his grandparents also chose East Providence as well. So just getting to see how much he loved this city, and getting to know folks in East Providence, how much of a tight community it is I think, very special for East Providence. And I wanted to be part of that as well. So for us to really put our roots down and create a family is why we chose East Providence, because it really is a special place. It is.
And so you ended up settling down here. You became an active member of the community. By the way, your husband, Mark, is a dear friend of mine, and helped me through my first campaign and was part of my administration early on. So Mark is a a bright young man who is doing good things. And so you guys were living here in the city, and you got engaged in wanting to get involved in the local politics, which was school committee, right?
Yes.
That was in 2019. Was that 2019 or
Yes.
2020?
2020 was when I got into school committee,
yeah.
but 2019 is a big year, I guess.
Okay.
Graduated, moved to East Providence, got engaged.
That was a lot going
Decided
on.
to run for office.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was a lot, but it came down to just, again, wanting to give back to a community in a way where I think was most impactful, especially for someone that was new, was supporting our schools.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to how my parents, raised me. It was truly your top priority until you are a grown-up is going to be to complete your education. So I was, always grateful for the educational opportunity I was provided and the tools, because the tools are what essentially establish whether you are able to take greater opportunities later down the line. So I had some experience, some outside experience of like what my opportunities were. So I wanted to make sure that East Providence had someone that was able to really fight for those opportunities for the students in East Providence as well. And especially when it was it was during the end of the pandemic as well, I wanted to really make sure that our students were having access to all the educational material that they needed, and that our teachers were being prioritized as well, and that we also, we're collaborating with each other as well as the district. So that's, just kind of the reasons why I wanted to get involved early on. But the schools, that's always been my like the heart of my passion of wanting to get involved.
Your parents, they ingrained that in you, that education is super important, and you came into a role where you were advocating so that everybody had a great education opportunity here in East Providence. And two major projects, one of them completed under your tenure, and one of them started under your tenure, right?
Yes.
So East Providence is very fortunate to see a brand new state-of-the-art East Providence High School, which you were there for. And now we just completed a state-of-the-art middle school, Martin Middle School, and are in the process right now of building a pre-K school, which is going to be a great facility attached to Martin. I mean, talk about those projects if you would.
Definitely. So I was fortunate to come in towards the second half of the high school project. And I've learned so much, even from just the second half, and I was able to learn a lot from the beginning process for the middle school project. So I like to think that at the end, I learned what a whole building project works here in Rhode Island. And it really goes to show how important it is to have very knowledgeable people participating in local government, whether it's the building committee, whether it's the school committee, because those are the people that are in the room making decisions. What classrooms look like, what materials are being used, how many bathrooms and where are we putting them? Like, how do we set up a school to look and not just look nice, but also be really conducive to learning and teaching as well, and for collaboration between the educators and administration as well. So all those different pieces don't just happen from, one or two people. It really comes from a collaboration of people. So again, the building committee people, school committee, our city council was also part of those decisions. And of course, you as the mayor were also very part of that process as well. So I think what I learned the most from it was truly collaboration is key. Yeah. If you don't have that, things will stall, which means loss of, you're losing money. Right. If a project isn't being done on schedule and within the budget constraints, the city or town suffers. So that's something that I've observed from other municipalities is sometimes they're not as fortunate, and there are some consequences that come with that. So I was really happy to see that East Providence has continuously, I think, met the not just the requirements, but have superseded them. Yeah. And we're now seeing the end products, which is an amazing high school that really shows, again, our students that in this city, we do value education. We do want to invest in your futures. And that is, I think, a big part of, I think, supporting students, making sure that they know we're here for them.
I think that's so important. I mean, when you're going into work, not only for the students, but for the educators themselves. You know, when you feel that you're going into a safe environment where you can teach, where you're not dealing with issues and that could affect your health or affect your ability to teach, it's a testament and it's a clear indication to our community that we support our teachers and we support our students and that we support education. Those things come with a cost, of course. As the mayor, I've got to put budgets together, and you know, people twice voted on bonds to borrow a significant amount of money to build these two schools. And those bonds, it's like a mortgage. A lot of times people don't understand how that works. It's like you go out and get your own mortgage to buy a home or to do a construction project, and you have to pay that mortgage back in. So as mayor, the challenge, of course, is putting together a budget that's going to be able to pay back the debt service, but also is not going to impact the local taxpayers to a point where they're going to be taxed out of their homes. So that is probably the biggest challenge of these projects, and we have been fortunate because we have a growing tax base. We've been very frugal with our spending. So other municipalities who are trying to do the same thing we did are having a difficult time right now. I've heard from other municipal leaders that they can't pull off what we pulled off. We got very fortunate to do it at the time that we did it. So kudos to you for being a leader in that role. And then you decided, hey, I'd like to try my hand at being a state representative. And you took a shot at that seat. And tell us about that experience.
Yes. So the decision to leave the school committee and then move or try to run for a different seat was definitely a difficult one. But at the end, I decided that it was necessary in order to have a bigger impact, a positive impact on the community, not to just support our education here in East Providence, but to then help help families at a larger scale, whether it's voting on issues to support our healthcare system here, or to support families and with like labor protections and things like that, or helping our municipalities as well. So I thought that running for a state office would definitely, I think, allow me the opportunity to not just help more, but also learn more. Mm-hmm. So that's why I ended up making that decision.
Well, I mean, honestly, look, you brought to the General Assembly your perspective, having served on a school committee, which is important, and also having your law degree and having a background in law. By the way, you were practicing law. You still are. What law were you originally focusing on?
Well, originally it was corporations.
Okay.
So I started off with that. I was fortunate to do an externship with Gilbane during law school. Mm-hmm. I did some work with, I think it was the Rhode Island Center for Justice as well. And then I did my last internship in law school was an immigration internship. So that was actually my first initial introduction to immigration law. The hesitancy, I think sometimes people are kind of confused, like, oh, why wouldn't, like, you know, because of your family, like, why would it take you a while to, like, get introduced to that? It's such a sensitive topic, I think, and very personal. And getting to see, like, the different experiences from family members on how difficult it can be to start that process, that's not something I was really excited to jump back into. Right. It's very emotionally taxing and challenging. But I will say, I stuck with it. Mm-hmm. Because it's such an important work. I think especially today, I think it's important to make sure that people's rights are being protected, and that those opportunities that our previous generations had are still available to those that are trying to seek, whether it's residency or the process of becoming a naturalized citizen. So that's yeah.
You know. As a former law enforcement officer, I'm all 100% in favor of legal immigration, but we understand that sometimes people have circumstances that they end up being here, overstaying a visa, and they're not absolutely in following the legal rules. And that's why you need an attorney sometimes to help them navigate that. What's happening now at the federal level with the heavy-handed tactics, I think it's demonstrated, and we've seen a couple of recent terrible situations where people are being targeted and then end up losing their lives. I mean, we don't want to see that. I'm all for, offering people due process and making sure that we follow, good policing practices. As a former police officer myself for 25 years, I see some of the things that are happening nationally, and it really brings me great pause, and it concerns me. And my wife, who is a friend of yours, yes. Immigrated here from the Dominican Republic, and she, she's had those conversations with me. We feel very uncomfortable sometimes with the tactics that are being deployed now, because some of these people are here legally, and they're being wrapped up because of the way they look, the way they sound, the way they, they're perceived. So that's a problem, and I don't like to see that. But I know you're very proud of your heritage. You're very proud Peruvian, and you were recognized as the first Peruvian American who was elected to the House of Representatives. Tell me about that.
It's a huge honor. I think that's a huge responsibility. I think to really set a positive example of, Peruvian people as a whole. But it's especially impactful, I think, just because of the background with my family. Like, my grandmother on my mother's side was illiterate. Mm-hmm. And she unfortunately passed away before I was able to, reach these different levels in politics. But I think it just goes to show, I think hard work and dedication really can make a difference in how you raise your kids and how you decide to live your life as well. And just remaining focused as well, and not forgetting what your roots are and where you come from. So I think that's what keeps me also grounded, is that we're just people. That's right.
That's right. And look, I think you ended up going into this new role, and you ended up on some very big committees. I mean, it looks like, I'm looking at the notes here, the House Labor Committee, that's a big committee, House Municipal Government and Housing Committee, which is a big issue across the state right now, housing, and then you're also on the State Government and Elections Committee. So how did you end up on these committees?
So the last one, the State Government and Elections, that one's a new one. Our now Majority Leader, Catherine Kazarian, had to step down, so I did fill in on that one after she assumed the new role that she has. So I have been following some of the legislations that they hear on that committee. They do have extensive and lengthy meetings, but still, like the Voting Rights Act. Yeah. So I have been following that over this past session. So I'm very happy to be on that and continue to learn next year's session. Mm-hmm. But definitely the municipal government and housing one was a huge ask for me. Mm-hmm. I thought that I had the experience from being on school committee and working with you, mm-hmm. In some respects on a lot of issues. So I thought that I could bring that perspective of how our municipalities have to implement these bills that we pass. Well, so that's my perspective on there.
We're very fortunate to have you and other leaders on some important committees. I mean, we have the Senate President Val Lawson, we have the House Majority Leader Catherine Kazarian, Bob Brito, Matt Dawson. I mean, these are all great people. Pam Lauria, Jennifer. Your colleague, oh my goodness. Boylan. Jennifer Boylan, yes. It's too many names. I'm getting old. But we do have a meeting. We meet yes. with all of you. This is something I've done since I took office, is we get all the state legislators together, we meet, and we discuss issues that impact the city. And one of the issues that you were instrumental in was changing the way the craft bill, or how we fund, so quick for the people at home. There was a law that if a child from another municipality went to the Bradley Hospital for the craft program, which was an in-house program, the city of East Providence used to pick up the tab and the cost for that child, not the sending district or the home district, which to me was patently unfair. And this is an issue that had been lingering around for quite some time. And working with you, especially with your experience on the school committee, and working with Val Lawson, we were able to change that. But talk about what the cost impact was on the budget for something like that.
It was around almost like $1 million of a cost for the school district. So that was a cost that I was very much aware of how much it weighed on the school district when I was on the school committee. $1 million is a lot, but seeing how heavy it weighed on us after each budget season, so it would have been like 4 different budgets I did on the school committee. Yep. And each time it's difficult to have to make those decisions on what to cut or what to not increase supports in, whether it's additional staffing for speech therapists, or whether it's having an additional paraprofessional. It was very difficult. So I knew that getting there, it was going to have to be a big push from all of us as a delegation. But myself, I can definitely say that I was able to easily explain to people on how much of a difference it would be to pass this. And it did alleviate, I think, for this upcoming budget, they'll be able to see that impact and that relief.
Big savings, and that was thanks to your leadership and your knowledge of the issue. You brought that to the State House, you changed the law. The other big issue with that was that we never knew. Like, you could get a child, all of a sudden was put into that program, and we were picking up the tab. It was an unknown cost. So that was a big savings. Now the local municipalities are responsible for that cost. And thanks to you and your leadership, we got that changed. And that was a big saving. Now, I'm getting the 1-minute warning. I can't believe that we've already spent close to 30 minutes speaking. I know there's a lot more that I could ask you here, and I wanted to ask you, but we may have to have you come back for a second interview. Look, I appreciate your service. Is there any last thing that you wanted to share before we sign off with the community?
Yes, definitely. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions on things that I may be able to help. I'm very fortunate to have a very great working relationship with all my colleagues up at the State House and with the mayor. I'm just very fortunate to have, a team that we're always looking to move forward and help East Providence. So again, I'm always here to help the community, so always feel free to reach out to me. My website is JenniFurtado.com.
JenniFurtado.com.
Yes.
Thank you, State Representative Jenni Furtado, for taking time to join us today and speak directly to the community. This has been another episode of the Pulse of East Providence with Mayor Bob DaSilva. We strive to bring you relevant information about some of the people that are impacting our community in a positive way. And today you heard from a state representative who has impacted our school system by helping to build 2 incredible school facilities, and now is making a huge impact at the State House, supporting smart legislation that protects our community and saves us tax dollars. So we'll see you at the next Pulse of East Providence. Take care, stay well, and have a wonderful rest of your day.